Time is apart.
And it is only possible in America. I stopped streaming. Jonathan closed my laptop before I could protest. "Let's just go to bed," he said. The group huddles together in the communal Old Navy on the first floor. Yeah, you don't know, even if it's just a nothing more to you. I didn't say, I know what you think about this place. You don't respect it. You don't respect me. You don't respect our rules.
I just finished writing down or typing down my thoughts on Severance by 𝐚𝐿. I finished the audiobook a few minutes ago. I guess I have mixed feelings about it. I'm just gonna read to you guys what I wrote down. We follow Candace through her life before and during a pandemic apocalyptic style of fever. It's caused by the Shen fever, which spreads throughout New York. The novel explores how routines and cultural expectations become embedded in adulthood, particularly for Candace, who was raised by Chinese immigrant parents. Through Candace's pre-pandemic work life, we learn about the life she built for herself, her rituals, her routines, and her thoughts about work, love, and purpose. And throughout the novel, Candace faces a great deal of uncertainty. As readers, we are led to question whether this uncertainty comes from the world ending or from the fact that she never fully felt herself or truly felt alive even before the fever began or the world ending. I read this book as an audiobook, and it was an engaging experience because Candace's thoughts and situations make you pause and wonder alongside her. And I appreciated 𝐚𝐼's writing style and the way the story flows between timelines, as I mentioned, pre-pandemic or Shen fever and during. Also, the Shen fever, that itself is a powerful and interesting concept. Once someone becomes fevered, they wake up each day repeating the same routines with no life behind their eyes. They move on autopilot. They're trapped in endless repetition and they're unconscious till death. It sounds so unnerving, right? When I typed that down, it really hit me. I was like, whoa, that's scary. Anyway, other than Candace, I also enjoyed the characters being introduced to us and how they play their parts. I did feel bored at certain parts, but overall, it's not a bad book. I understand where the hype came from, and it opened another perspective that I can learn from, or like another perspective for me to know about. And then lastly, I wrote, the ending was alright. It didn't feel impactful. Yeah, I think I read a couple of reviews on Storygraph, and I think we all, or most, had the same thoughts on the ending, and I was like, oh, interesting. It's a good book. I understand the hype. Very unsettling when you think about it. Yeah, that's the book I finished. I'm gonna try to finish All About Love. I have it on my Kindle. I enjoy reading it on my Kindle rather than the physical copy for some reason, but I also need to transfer my annotations in my Kindle to the physical copy. Next book I'm trying to finish. Let's see if I can. That's the goal. That's how my afternoon is going so far. Waking up at 6 a.m. every morning is such a good habit to build, and I've been doing so since I was young. My family, we are morning birds or early birds, and every time I encounter someone who asks me, are you a night person or a morning person, and I say morning person, they get really shocked. I guess it's just I don't know. For me, the morning just feels so energizing. It just feels right. And I feel so good. Like 6 a.m., get my morning routine done, journal a couple of my thoughts, do my planner and stuff, establish a morning routine. You won't regret waking up at 6 a.m. Promise. And then eventually your body clock is going to fix itself if you keep waking up at 6 a.m. or like at a certain time. I think when classes are back, I have to wake up earlier, like at 5 a.m. House is quite far from campus. Anyway, how about you guys? Are you night person, morning person? I always get interested to hear about it and what people prefer. That's it for my little catch up. Hi guys, it's been a couple days and I want to give you guys my thoughts on the books I finished. I finished two, which is Don't Believe It and All About Love. I'm gonna do the same thing I did with Severance, where I typed down my thoughts already and I'm just gonna read them to you so it won't be messy. I tend to ramble. At least this has a clear format or something. I got my notes open. I'm just gonna read it. I have Don't Believe It with me. I'm gonna start with this book. We follow the story of Sydney and Grace. Wait, before I start, I just wanna say everything is spoiler free. I'll let you know ahead if there is a spoiler. Anyway, we follow the story of Sydney and Grace along with several other characters involved in the case. Sydney is a filmmaker known for her TV shows that uncovers the truth and brings justice to those who were falsely accused in the past. Our other character, Grace, was wrongly accused of her boyfriend's murder and has spent 10 years in prison because of it. And when Grace's story reaches Sydney through a letter, this sparks Sydney's interest and wants to uncover the truth behind the case. Even though she spent time already, 10 years. She's determined to figure it out. Sydney decides to turn it into a live TV show. Now, Sydney may be Grace's only hope in bringing the truth to light. Now, more of my thoughts. I thought the plot was interesting at first. However, as I dove deeper into the book, I found myself confused and slowly shying away from the book. I didn't enjoy the writing as much. There were moments where I wanted to edit the writing. I was just irritated. And there seemed to be several plot holes. When I read a thriller, I like trying to solve the mystery early on or go together with a chapter and information I've gathered. I hope that makes sense. And I usually have a few suspects in mind already, and by the end, it all comes together. This can either excite me or bore me once a crime or criminal is finally revealed. Now, with this book, I had speculations early on, and they turned out surprisingly similar or accurate, and that left me feeling disappointed and dissatisfied because of how predictable it was for me. In the next line, I said it felt predictable, and that's something you never want from a thriller because it takes away the tension and mystery, or like the rush you're supposed to feel. I also felt that the author added unnecessary elements or information that's supposed to confuse the reader, and so we don't pay attention to who the actual criminal is. While it did confuse me, it also made the story feel dragged out and empty, and yeah, it left plot holes. And I also didn't see the characters as fully developed. They felt two-dimensional to me. Overall, Don't Believe It had an intriguing concept and a promising setup, but it didn't fully deliver for me. I was left feeling dissatisfied. But like, again, as I've said, that's just my opinion. When I was looking through Storygraph, a couple people, or most of the people actually, in that review area liked the book, which is great. That's good, enjoy the book. Don't Believe It just wasn't for me. Next, let's move on. All About Love by Bell Hooks. This is the first non-fiction book I've read this year, and I was quite excited to pick it up after purchasing it. The book explores the meaning of love and offers different definitions of what love truly is. It explains how love can be transformative if we allow it in, and if we let go of anger, fear, and close-mindedness. The author reflects on words and experiences from childhood through adulthood, showing how love shapes our growth. She also emphasizes that love is one of the strongest bonds we can form and one of the most powerful sources of healing we can ever obtain. With that said, I think I held my expectations way too high for this book. For me, the book wasn't as transformative or as impactful as I thought it would be. While there were many good quotes that I highlighted, the content overall felt alright. It wasn't great, it wasn't bad. Some parts felt redundant too, and I found myself reading similar ideas throughout the book. The flow was decent, but I found certain sections questionable, or I wasn't really aligning with it. Like, it was okay. I'm reading a nonfiction to, widen my thinking. Here in the next sentence, I said, to be fair, there were perspectives I was new to and genuinely interested in reading about. However, once I finished the book, it didn't feel like it was life-changing. I think my expectations were really just too high, and I found myself wanting to drop the book and pick up another one, and that's never a good impression or feeling you want the reader to have. While I appreciate the ideas and perspectives the author shared, because, I learned a couple things, the book ultimately didn't resonate with me as deeply as I thought it would. And also, if you love the book, I know a few of my friends who do, that's great because we all hold different opinions. I always say this, that's just my opinion. Yeah, I also mentioned that I wanted to transfer my annotations to my physical copy. I don't think I will be doing that because I think I'm going to be giving away my book to one of my friends or leave it at a little free library. The malls here usually have those like leave, take it things. I'll most likely give my copy away. So yeah, first non-fiction read, it was alright. it was interesting. Those are the 2 books I read. I'll let you guys know what my next reads are gonna be. I wanna always have a physical copy, of course my required reading, and then an audiobook and something in my Kindle. I'll start with what's in my Kindle is The Lamb by Lucy Rose. It's one of those weird odd books that has body horror and disgusting details, which I enjoy. If it's not for you, then don't. So far, I don't know what it's about. You're not gonna hear stuff from me about it yet. And then for the audiobook, you saw that I started crying in 𝐚𝐼𝐼𝐸. Loving it so far. I'm probably gonna buy a physical copy once I'm done with saving up for the trip. So that's my audiobook. So for physical copy, I have The Secret History. I'm planning to read this as slow as possible and fully immerse myself. So I think I'll be having this with me for a while, and you're constantly gonna see it in the videos. For the acquired reading, I haven't picked anything yet for February. I'll see what I'm feeling in the first day of Feb. But I think I have my top contenders. It's either Letters to a Young Poet, Sylvia Plath's collected poems, or All the Lovers in the Night by Miko Kawakami. And then maybe White Nights. Not sure. I'm enjoying this book so far. I think that's why I really want to take my time with it. I think I'm just missing If We Were Villains, dark academia vibes, that era, you know? So happy to be able to read this for the first time ever and just have a great experience. And you know what else is a great experience? Waking up at 6 a.m. I really do enjoy waking up at 6 a.m. And it's a good start because when classes are here, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and prepare. So at least it'll be an easier transition. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And I get to do so many things at 6 a.m. I get ready, slow down. It's easy on my nerves. It's easy on my brain. I get to relax and do what I need to do and no rush. I get to journal my thoughts out. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you for hanging out with me. And let's hang out in the next one again.